Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting of the Lake County 911 Authority to order. It's 10:07 on February 6, 2026. I'm going to request the change to the agenda. So let's move item number 4 to item number 2, and then slot down 2 to 3 and 3 to 4, so we can get to the Central Square discussion a little sooner. Okay. Unless you guys are eager to listen to policies.
No, we can go first.
Okay, cool. Yeah, right, okay.
Or do Jackie first, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, we'll do Jackie first. Yep, so we'll keep Jackie as number 1, we'll move Central Square to number 2, and then we'll move on to some of our internal stuff, which you guys are welcome to stick around for, but you don't have to. Any other changes to the agenda? All right. I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? No? All right, all in favor of approving today's agenda?
Aye.
All right, thanks. I can move on to director reports. Only thing that I have today is to welcome Gary. Gary, we'll expect a full speech from you when we roll to you here shortly, but and what we'll do is next in our next meeting, we'll go through appointing the officers of the board, since we've had a treasury vacancy for quite a while now. So we'll make sure we address that next month in our board meeting, so we get that position filled. Chief, you got anything for us?
I don't.
Jeremiah? No. Gary? No. Oh, you gotta introduce yourself.
My name's Gary Kermode, I'm the OEM director.
Mm-hmm. Tell us all about your life. I'm just kidding. But yeah, you've had some experience with boards before. Would you mind diving into that a little bit so everybody's aware?
Yeah, I came from Wichita, Kansas, and I was a member of the 911 board there for 19 years.
Okay.
So it's a very beneficial board, just like I see it here happening in last month. It's very beneficial, very important to the county, and so just happy to be part of it.
Good to have you, sir. Sarah?
I got nothing.
Okay.
I mean, I do, but for later.
Right, yeah, not on the agenda. Yeah, any public comment online or in the room? All right, and we did get Jackie on, right?
Yeah, she's on.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to new business and discussion. We'll start off with Jackie with 911 Solutions. Jackie, you can hear us?
I can. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have been, of course, waiting for all the line count stuff to be rounded out at the end of this month. And will then be going up to get the rest of the scanned items so that I can get your full report in March for your line counts. The other thing we're working on, of course, is talking about perhaps raising the surcharge above the threshold, which means we'll need to put together a budget outlining that. So I know Sarah and I have been working on trying to get some quotes and bids so that we have all the data you need. In the meantime, this month I've mostly been working with GIS because the GIS routing amendment in the tariff will take place starting March. They will start billing you for it. We did fill out the forms for Intrado. We have asked Intrado to please use their data for that. And only because they already have boundary data, and so I wanted us to move forward. We also have spoken with the GIS department at the assessor, and I asked her to look over the next generation standards to see if that's something that your GIS department could pull into their workload and see what they could do, and they said they would not be able to do that. And so the board will need to consider who they want to retain, a company or hire a GIS, however you guys want to do it, to bring your GIS data up to next generation. Currently with the new tariff, you only need boundaries, and Toronto has those now. The Colorado Resource Center is actually working on fixing boundary data, which I did have my GIS look over your data to see, and your boundaries do need work, meaning they don't match completely with your surrounding counties. And so there will be some work, but again, that's through the 911 resource. Colorado 911 Resource Board has hired a company to do that. And so that's why I've asked Intrado to use their own data. your GIS gal did say, Shelley did say that she did say that she would, take care of anything between her and Entrado and take care of the CAD and the phone. And we did get Motorola engaged to try to get those, links put in so that the GIS is properly uploaded to your systems. With all that being said, let's see I'm just gonna go through my report, and then I'll come back to GIS because I did have my GIS person, do kind of an analysis to see what needed to be done. But right now, the 911 Services Enterprise, they had a meeting this week that I was not able to attend, so I will be reaching out to them again for grant applications. My understanding that their meeting this week, they were setting policy for grant applications. So hopefully we can get some grant money for, your immediate needs, the EMD for one. Then with the GIS, overview, there is quite a bit that needs to be done. I have an outline of it, and I will forward that to you, Sarah, so that you have it. But my question for the board is, how do you guys want to contract someone? Here's what needs to happen with the GIS. The GIS needs to be brought up to next generation data standards in the next year or two, in order to be able to use the full EZNet next generation, call routing in the future. And it looks like most of your boundaries need to be touched. Your points are on the centroids of a parcel, and the points need to be on the structure on the parcel. A lot of your center line does not have ranges, and so there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done. Again, the boundaries need to be fixed, but that's already in the works, so we can take that off the list. But I have a list of what needs to be done. So I can send this out to my subcontractor for hourly. And then you'd at least have an idea of hourlies. And I didn't know if you wanted to go out to get 3 bids, or if you wanted to hire a contractor, or you actually wanted to hire another in-house GIS person.
So our county
I'll be quiet
GIS, our county GIS personnel is, not able to do that job, or are you recommending a contractor?
I am recommending a contractor. She is not able with her current, she's a one-person shop, and she is not able to take on this work.
Okay.
So I would suggest a contractor, get it up to next generation standards. That way you have it, and then after that, you could talk about either keeping, a contractor to keep it up ongoing, or perhaps then the county can take it on ongoing. So that would be some discussion once it gets up to, next generation standards. But the schema needs to be changed. I mean, there's a whole host of things that need to be done.
Okay. Is your subcontractor willing to, start the discussion with us so we can get some estimates?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And I will get them engaged. They're called IMEG, is the name of the company. I will send him our, assessment here, what needs to be done, and see what he comes back with.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. I think that's a good first starting point, and we'll see if we have to go out for more bids or not.
Okay.
Is the request because our GIS is not, the in-house GIS is not capable?
That's correct. Your in-house GIS is not capable, and even if you move to new systems, a new CAD, a new phone, even if you do all those things, your GIS still needs this work done to it.
Our services.
Yeah, with that being said, her current mapping isn't on address points, so she's having to work through that to get it onto an address point. And like Jackie said, it has to be on the structure in the middle of the parcel, and so she's got a lot of work ahead of her on that. And so she just doesn't have the bandwidth.
Sure. Gotcha. Yeah, I misspoke. Not about the GIS, but her IT is what I meant. Our internal person that does that here at the county. Doesn't have that capabilities, so we have to go outside.
Yeah, I don't think
we.
we,
GIS person.
yeah, I don't know if we use Iron Edge, and I don't think they have a GIS person.
Was it, Bryce?
The assessor has a GIS person.
Gotcha, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's
for
contract for IT, so,
Let me get her name up here so I
thanks
have
for
it
the
right.
clarification.
yeah. And Bryce doesn't have anyone, so it's Shelby's the new name.
Shelby.
Yep.
And like I said, she's been very willing and helpful to work with us. She just doesn't have the bandwidth to get this data up to where it needs to be for 911 standards.
Jackie had a question for you on our pursuit for a PUC increase and having to work on our budget next. What's the time frame on that again?
The sooner we get it done, of course, the better. There's a couple time frames a year, which I don't think we're gonna make the June timeframe. Only
Okay.
because of, so you could raise your surcharge, once we apply for a surcharge above the threshold, then it starts another clock, right? And so it can take about 6 months to get that all the way through the PUC. But my plan would be, of course, to work closely with the PUC so that we don't have to keep going back and forth with them, that the staff is good with our assessment. And then it will go faster. But my guess is in order to get that approved and then the raise out would probably be the next window for raising your surcharge, which is February 1, and the letters need to be mailed by December 1.
All right, anything else for us?
That's all I have today, unless you have any further questions.
I don't. Anybody else have questions for Jackie?
Thank you for all the work, Jackie.
Yeah, I really appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate the work.
All right, we'll move on to item number 2, discussion on Central Square. So if you guys want to bring up your PowerPoint,
Yeah. This can probably.
whoever's good for you guys.
Front and center.
Yeah, well, I normally we could just go stand over there, but then I don't know if that's gonna be even weirder. Right. Okay, I don't know who's driving, but. Driving, you can't do both.
Yeah, we just give you the mouse.
Sure.
Click through it, whatever's easy for you guys.
Thank you. Just so we're not just like, hey.
Next.
Next. Alright, okay, I'll do it. Thanks, Jackie. We're from Central Square, so appreciate for Lake County, right? So, and just to like kind of guide the discussion, I created a bit of a PowerPoint here, there's very minimal bullets. It's not death by PowerPoint, it's just something to kind of guide our discussion, so that way we know what we're talking about and considering as we go along, okay? And I try to do like a level set of expectation, right? On why we're here today, so thanks for having us. Just wanted to set those expectations kind of clearly. Today's an overview and an alignment discussion, right? We're not here to ask for decisions.
Sarah's question. Before I start, just wanna make sure you know who everybody is, correct?
We've met in the hallway.
Okay.
I got here, I haven't met you yet.
I'm Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, hi Jeremiah.
Ambulance director.
I'm Devon, you're, say again?
Ambulance director.
Ambulance, cool, awesome, I'm glad you're here.
Okay.
I'll hand up my cards here too, pretty quick, so we.
Figured, I totally dropped
Yeah.
the ball on introductions here, so my
No,
bad.
we
Sarah?
jumped right into it.
Yeah, we really got after it.
And we usually have Chief Strelka, who's the chief of the police department on board
Awesome.
also, but he has an appointment today, so.
That's okay, and it's recorded, so he'll be able
Yes,
to.
yes.
Cool, and I'll leave a card for him too if he needs to engage.
Perfect.
Awesome. So we're not here to talk like pipe pricing, contracts and all that. Just up front, we just want to step back and make sure we're collectively understanding where the challenges are showing up across your full public safety life cycle today. And whether it makes sense to continue evaluating a different type of solution, right? And we wanna do that together, so if we do our job right, they should raise some good questions and not force some answers, right? Before we get into it, is this aligned with our expectations today?
Yeah,
absolutely. With that?
I believe personally have no idea what Central Square is, so.
So awesome, you're gonna learn all about it.
There is a pop quiz at the end of this.
That was
Yes.
As we get going, is there anything that you hoped that we'd cover today? We'll see if it's in here, and if not, we'll make sure that we get it addressed. Anything you hope that we cover today, rather than clicking around showing you what it looks like? Okay, awesome, that's me. Just to introduce myself, I'm Devon. Just a little background, I did 6 years in the Navy as a Seabee, 15 years at Sioux Falls PD, separated a year ago last month. I was a patrol supervisor there, came over to this side for all the reasons that one would think somebody does that, including having 2 little bitty babies this late in life. And so here I am. I used the solution that I think it would be best fitting for you just on what I've seen. I used that throughout my time there, both at the patrol level and then at supervisor level. I actually was there for the transition when we transitioned to Central Square, so I remember what the project and all that change was like as well. And so I have, again, no bullshit insight on some of those things if you want to ask those kind of questions.
Sure.
Again, the point is to make sure that it fits for you, not to, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's my background, open book, and I went to USC, don't hold it against me.
And my name's Jackie Voigt, so I guess just to clarify a little bit on our roles here, my role was Central Square, so Devon and I are both salespeople. He handles CAD, RMS, JMS, where my role is for call handling. So my background was not in dispatch, my background's actually more EMS related, more, fire and EMS, not so much law enforcement. But I joined Central Square a couple months ago, really thinking that oh yeah, I have background in public safety, I got this, and I have been very humbled to learn so much about dispatch and call handling and just all of the things that go into that. So as Devon mentioned, we're really excited to be here and hopefully we can, guide a discussion and try to get you guys engaged so we can figure out, what some of your challenges are and then if maybe we have a good solution to present to you.
Awesome. I think we've met pretty much everybody in the room, so I appreciate that. Before we get to talking about technology at all, it's important to acknowledge the environment you're operating in. So from what we've gleaned from some of our conversations, Lake County runs under a multi-agency authority model here with shared responsibility across dispatch, law, fire, EMS, right? That creates real complexities, right? Expectations are high, staffing and IT resources, it sounds like, are limited. And accuracy matters, and because the data supports how you're governing this, right? What kind of monies are coming in and how we're appropriating assets, right? So the data is important. So reporting and accountability are important. And it sounds like you guys recently went through a system change, Motor Flex, and it's reasonable. So it's reasonable to be cautious with any further disruptions, I'd say, right? Okay. And so we want to be respectful of what your reality is here today. And so if there's a path to move forward with that, right? Does this reflect the complexity that we're managing day to day here?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had Sarah been here when we made that switch, it would have gone differently, but
Sure.
we didn't have her expertise then, so.
No, and I kind of covered this a bit later, but we're certainly not here to evaluate that decision. What we are here to think about is what did we look to accomplish when we made that choice?
Yeah.
How much of that did we accomplish? And how much have we yet to accomplish, or do we see a roadmap to accomplishing? And can we fill that gap? Right? I think is really the discussion, isn't it? It's difficult. You don't know until you're in the environment and you're using something that there are gaps sometimes, right? You don't know that. And so there perhaps has been an opportunity where that's developed now that we're familiar. And so now we can make a even more informed decision with Sarah on board and then with some experience in that, right? Actually, that segues me right into my next slide. Thank you for following along.
Trying to get bonus points for that quiz.
That's like everything I can get.
Right, and so, again, it's not happening because there's been a bad decision that's been made, it's just happening because real world use has a way of surfacing things that aren't obvious during procurement, right? As systems get exercised day-to-day, workflow gaps, reporting issues, data limitations, they become clear. And what we're hearing is a desire to pause, take stock of what's working and what's not, right? And make sure that our future investments are grounded in the long-term sustainability and confidence that we need, right? There's a couple questions that I want to just to initiate the conversation here, right? What kind of things would you say have become more visible since we've now been on this new system that are gaps that we would like to close? Anything that comes up?
Yeah, so for us, it's the reports that I need to see for stats and what we need to report to the state, NIBRs, stuff like that. Just the ease of use, the time committed to it, just more and more technology, more and more reporting requirements. I have deputies who are spending more time on the computer. These are obstacles that it's not, I don't think it's necessarily, Flex's fault, it's just, that's what we have to do a lot of, so anything to streamline that. And then just growing things too, with the new software program, so. But for me, in my role, I need to see numbers and they're terribly hard to pull. And then also to make sure that we're following state law and reporting the correct stats. And the more I look into it, the more confused I get. So those are some of my biggest initial struggles.
Just to check for understanding, sorry Jackie, I just wanna make sure, we're talking about reporting in 3 different aspects, so we're talking about
Correct.
lawful reporting, the reporting that we need to send to the state or to the feds, like NIBRs, et cetera, right? And our ability to do that accurately, but then also not spend a bunch of time cleaning that up. And then how do we get that to them? Is there a mechanism in which we ship that off to them, right? And usually that's a huge lift on whatever records person is double dutying that, right?
Yeah.
And then we're talking about reporting in the field, like obviously deputies spending more time on reports, has less time that they're spending doing other things, they're able to get to other calls. But then the efficiency of that as well, right? If we're spending, say if we get a large sexual assault report that requires a lot of detail, that's gonna take a considerable amount of time, and then not only are we efficient, but what's the quality of that report like? You know, are we able to spend the time to get the amount of quality we need in there because of the limitations of the environment that we're operating in? And then lastly, of course, is the data-driven reporting, the reports that are presented to you that are directed for you to be able to make the decisions you need to make or present to boards or governing bodies to request the things you need and request them to be able to validate those things, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, and the other thing I've experienced, and not just to point a finger at Motorola, it's just a common thing that we experience is really the baton handoff. Is it's usually like well thought out, we like it, it's a great process, and then once we receive the baton and we start doing day-to-day stuff, questions, okay, here's your point of contact, and it's tough to get a hold of that person. And I almost feel like it's the companies that we're dealing with don't put a lot of focus into that portion of it, and maybe the person's overwhelmed, maybe it's a bad person, I don't know, but and again, not just Motorola, but I've had that issue before with software companies, is after 6 months of using it, boy, do we have questions. Initially, we do our best to ask questions, we absorb the training as best as we can. It's at 6 month mark, the year mark, we're finally starting to understand it, and what about this and what about that? And that's been the other kind of problem.
Not to put a cart before the horse, and this is a common thing that comes up specifically, it'd be unbecoming for me to be comparative with competitors, right? Because I mean, we're all just companies at the end of the day, we have our own models. However, it's not uncommon, especially in Idaho, they did a really good job in Idaho, like they swept that state over. And now there's a tech refresh cycle occurring in the state of Idaho, so a lot of folks are transitioning away from was Spillman, had gotten acquired by Motorola because of the same things that I hear. Every office and board meeting I sit in is the same kind of conversation that I'm having. And anyway, what I usually present or show or tell is just our way of doing it, and maybe that jives with what you're looking for. Again, cart before the horse, these are things I normally talk about like in a demonstration type environment, so you know the organization you get with, but just to address this now up front, we have a model that's supported around how we support our customers, and a lot of that is empowering you to take charge of this system in your own, so you don't constantly need to be calling somebody for help. A lot of people, our customers have historically said they don't want to have to do that, right? It's a pain in the butt constantly having to get a hold of software companies. Sure. However, when you do, we have a triage system, so we triage all of our tickets. We have an industry-leading 50% same-day resolution. And then we triage, much like if you do a dispatch, like if you have a priority 1 call, 2 call, 3 calls, so that way we can get through these tickets quicker and get you the answers or the support you need faster. We also have a self-service portal, so you can log onto there and there's white sheets, there's videos, there's all the things that you need to do. Central Square University, you know, we all love clicking through these training modules, right? So that way you can continually to self-support. If you're bringing on a new dispatcher, bringing on a new deputy, we can use that, you can leverage that to train them yourself. When we go through the project of implementation, we also do obviously the full-scale training, but we also do like a train-the-trainer type model too, because we'll make experts out of you. It's incredibly simplistic. You'll see it, it's incredibly simplistic to use and to administer and learn. So So that's kind of what our model's centered around, and we've found some success in that, right? And so we've gotten good feedback on that, and so I'll show you what that looks like. Maybe further on down the road, you can tell me if that's drive, so what you think would be, your standard for how you wanna be split.
Okay. Yeah, we could wait for that.
Okay, awesome, very good, very good. Any other, gaps that shows up, EMS, fire?
No, but what we talked about.
Okay.
Well, I would say for EMS, it's just the ability to see the screens and understand the reports, like the timestamps and that kind of stuff for them, because they don't have that access right now.
No, yeah, that's why I wasn't together, because we don't have MWTs, we don't have
Yeah.
even CAD access or anything like that,
You don't have it
yeah.
at all today?
What's that?
You don't have it at all today?
No, so the report system that we use, ImageTrend, we're using the free state version, and that doesn't actually allow us to connect to CAD.
Yeah.
We would have to purchase our own version, which has been not undoable so far. To be able to do that, to connect to CAD and things like that, we don't have MVTs in the vehicles, we don't have any of that sort of access as of yet, so.
How many rigs are you running?
To at any one time.
So would it be cost efficient to, I was just talking to him about this earlier, would it be cost efficient to buy 2 iPads or 2 tablets and then have instant access to CAD?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. That's one cost effective way I see in a lot of smaller agencies or rural departments, especially for fire and EMS, because they just don't have the need as much as like law does for what they have in their rigs, right?
Yeah.
Even on your cell phone, put it on your cell phone too. So you'll have all the CAD data there,
Cool.
live.
Yeah, if it's that easy, that'd be great.
Yeah.
It's, in the past, it's taken a full laptop and, some other equipment and things like that to be able to do that, so that'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, put it on your cell phone, we can, if you wanna get like 2 iPads, one for each rig, right?
Yeah, and I already have those actually, so.
Oh, for sure.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I told you specifically, I wasn't getting into quoting, but it's like $120.
Okay.
So,
That's doable, yeah.
yeah, for sure.
That's doable.
Tell it doable, right? So,
I'll write a check for that, yeah.
yeah. So that's one gap, you know what I mean, that just these simplistic, these gaps like this, but these add up, right? These add up, certainly. If you had to pick one thing that consumes more time than it should, what would you say it is? Corey,
Say that one more time.
if you had to pick one thing that consumes more time than it should,
Oh,
Oh, sure, yeah.
40%, yeah.
yeah. What about receiving calls? We know that time is of the essence, right? By the time she gets the call inbound, until the time that either one of you put hands on a patient or, right? Time's of the essence. What about receiving calls like that and then getting the information you need? Is that taking any amount of time?
I mean, not particularly, no, I mean, the paging system's pretty decent, but it would be nice to have a visual backup to that in case, multiple things happen at once or whatever it is, it would be nice to have that for sure.
Especially, it sounds like the acquisition of VMD, right? Because there's going to be a lot more data that comes across or that needs to be relayed to you guys about how long they've been down, if those were just right.
Yeah, I'll say right now with between the call works, the call handling and CAD, and we have a dispatcher here, she can probably speak to it a little bit more from her personal experience. It doesn't work well together. So by the time they get the call, and then they have to launch a call screen, and they don't pop the call immediately independent, because we don't have all the problem features we need on the medical side.
Sure.
So that really delays getting them going, and then of course we don't EMD, so it's trying to make sure we're obtaining the correct information and then paging it out in a timely manner. Because NENA has guidelines and standards in place for specifically fire and EMS calls, that we have to page within a certain time frame.
Right.
If the call is not impending, and even though we paged it out, our times are still off, which affects fire and EMS's times overall.
Right.
So, the systems don't work well. I don't know if you wanna add anything to that.
I guess like what I've witnessed just between our own system and then with my sit-in yesterday. Like our CAD system, when we get a call, like a 911 call from CallWorks, when you automatically pull up a call, it doesn't pull in any information from that call. Sometimes I get a phone number, sometimes I don't get a phone number. Sometimes it pulls a coordinate, sometimes it doesn't pull any information. And then I'm looking on CallWorks, their mapping system, trying to figure out like, where is my call coming in? And it doesn't give me any information on any distance from that call. Sometimes it doesn't ping with rapid SOS, so like our systems just don't talk very well to each other, and that also delays it, because if I'm not getting a response from someone but I hear distress or something in the call, I'm spending more time pulling that information from the call site itself into our cab, and I think that's also a delay that will happen.
All being a singular dispatch on,
Yes.
and so if another call comes in or a traffic stop comes out or something like that, you'll have to.
Yeah, we're like in the middle of like trying to do multiple, so like if it were to be able to pull some of that extra information, that phone number or that address, or just pre-populate the call already onto our system, that would make it a lot easier to start running through things, and I think that's been like a big delay too. Of just building the call like completely from the minute that you pick up the phone versus it like popping up as you're answering.
She got to do a study in Park County yesterday, and so she got to see Central Square's call handling side of it
Mhm.
with their different CAD system.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to explain it to someone and then for them to see it, and so yeah, it really does delay, and even delays law enforcement, right?
Yeah.
So our Bergen progress we had, you know, it didn't pull the address, she entered it 4 times and had to force it, and it was a different address all 4 times. So she's airing out 4 different addresses, and it really does delay their response times, and it delays accurate information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then because of those poor processes, like, and we need to reduce radio traffic, and just let them do their jobs, it'd be great, so that if we don't have to call in on a medical or a fire and get extra information, if we can see that on the screen, and just have that, and what they're already putting in, and not have to also air it, great.
Especially as it's developing while
Right.
you're en route,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, if they can take that in, not also have to air that out, and we're seeing it at the same time, then that makes their job way easier, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I know like reading like the Flex manual, like Flex has like the same capabilities of like the CAD system that I saw yesterday of like sending messages to EMS, sending messages to fire, sending messages to your law enforcement. When that call pops up, when you attach someone, it automatically like drop to your phone and like send it something. And like I saw that work yesterday at the other place where it was like almost all of their information got dropped and their radio traffic is a lot shorter. They're telling you where you're going and essentially what's happening, but like on your phone, you've got like all of your information. You're probably already putting on your suits, getting ready to get into your vehicle to leave.
And if you saw Park County, so we're working with Park County as well, they're having,
Yeah,
we're trying to get over some humps with them too, but like what you're talking about is like the priority paging, so,
Mhm.
and there's a difference between us continually paging you guys about what's going on, which we'll do. But then also, once you're in the rig or you're en route or you're monitoring the call, you can actually just see the CAD information as that's being inputted. So it's not additional text, it's just a message, right? It's there,
Right,
it's
just there.
live, right, that's
Um,
correct.
I like it.
And I don't know if you mentioned this, Chief, about the nearest and,
Yeah.
reporting. So,
We did.
just for the sake of the meeting, right,
Recommended
nationally,
units.
they're going from NIFERS to nearest.
That's right.
Yep, and fire's having to, I think you guys are manually having to upload stuff right now.
Right now, currently, that's what I was talking about, when we were in the before.
Yeah, so that's probably a fire issue that I've noticed, cause I've done everything on my side and it's like,
Yeah,
It's
we're
not
kind of like
as-
that on our end too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that again, it just goes back to the reporting needs and the time it's taking for the reports.
Okay,
Well, that data should move seamlessly too, right? Like there's enough technology that exists out there where that information should just be populating, right? Like, so speaking from the EMS side, the agency that I ran with, we had all of our times when we went to, because we used Image Trend for a little while too. When we would go and write a report, all of our times already uploaded in there. We had an incident number and everything. So when we were done the call, we clear the hospital, all of our times are already in our report. So the only thing we need to worry about is narrative and, you know, all of the patient information. So there's a better way to have that continued, you know, continuity of data transfer to all of the appropriate reporting platforms.
Yeah, and then the only other thing I see from the dispatch side that's really affecting our law enforcement, because we do PD and SO, is that it drops cases for everything and it's not really clearly defined. And then we've got the DA coming to dispatch being like, well, whose case is this? And we've got questions and we don't understand why. And it affects the officer's reports too, because sometimes a PD officer will get a case that's actually an SO's case and there's an SO case on it, but it's not clearly defined in that. And so that's really more on the Flex's development side of it. But it does seem to impact, because it trickles down from not only the SOPD down into dispatch, but the DAs are now like, hey, we've got questions and we don't know. And then they usually come to dispatch asking for clarification.
and the consideration to circle this back to the reporting thing, then how do we have accurate data if those reports are crossed? That's kind of what my reporting accountability and accountability issues. So even if we go in like a co-response type model where EMS, fire, PD, and SO all wind up on the same call, right? We can all be on the same call for service number and all have disparate cases attached or related to that incident. Like we can have SO 26-001, PD 26-001. Like say we're like, hey man, if you take the DUI, I'll take the crash, right? Kind of scenario. So now it's all tied to the same case. So even if the DA gets it, they understand that it's one incident, it's one thing, and all these reports are, this is this officer's report, this is this deputy's report. They're the ones testifying to doing FSTs, they're the ones testifying towards. Anyway, so that it gives that accountability. And then on the back end, when you need to pull how many arrests I've made, how many cases we've done, how many calls for service my deputies have responded to or officers have responded to in the case of the chief. When you're validating like, I need another position or we need, extra support in whatever ways, you have that number at your fingertips without having to sift through. So that's what I wanted to talk about with a couple of these bullets, that accountability issues. Thank you for bringing that up. With whose case is what, and then what data that provides us in the back end. And then these operational workarounds that you've already identified, you've identified a few as well, these operational workarounds seem to be increasing. And what happens is over time, those become a way of doing business. It's how we have to do business, so that's what we do. It becomes policy, right? Because of the limitations of how we've had to navigate what we have available to us, right? And then the last one there was just long-term sustainability. So like there's always going to be, after we just went through a change, now we have to maybe do it again. Are we gonna be here again in 2, 3, 4 years? What does our roadmap look like? Is this sustainable for us, right? And that's another conversation. So is it sustainable to continue on your workarounds now, not have the relevant call data you need, not be able to pull the data that you need, the time that we're spending on those reports, is that sustainable if we don't reevaluate it now? How long is that sustainable for, right? Or going to nearest, are we able to sustainably complete those reports to be in compliance? Because now we're gonna be nationally reporting, right? So that's kind of some of the topics I thought came to mind to me on why this conversation is actually occurring now, right? And I boil those down to a couple things. We have operational challenges and governance and oversight challenges, which we've all identified here today, right? Two broad categories, workflow continuity, case ownership, manual corrections, access to incomplete incident data. On the governance side, those same issues show up as concerns around billing accuracy, state and federal reporting, leadership visibility across your agencies. They affect daily work, right? Alright. One thing that's come up consistently is the workflow continuity. So the incidents don't always move cleanly across agencies, right? So if PD makes an arrest, they have to bring them here for short-term housing. Now we have to turn them over to our contract jail, or then how does that come in through dispatch too, right? So there's a whole thing. Dispatch has to key this information, rekey it for CAD, who has to get rekeyed into RMS by the deputy, who has to get rekeyed into JMS for the custody type issue, right? And so that continuity creates a lot of breaks where there's opportunity for friction and more time of rekeying data, right? Why are we re-entering the same thing over and over again? And then does that change the accuracy of the data? Do we have two versions of the truth? Because I heard his name is Bob and you heard his name is Willie. That's correct, right? So over time though, that can create a fragile environment. Think about how these systems work, how these environments get built, especially over time, right? We keep piling data in and then they just create this environment. So eventually down the road, we have this large environment of incomplete data, inaccurate data. And so it's just a compounding issue that grows in our ecosystem. And then now we come to a point where we're reassessing and reevaluating this. We're like, we don't even know what's true anymore, right? Gets into records reporting life cycle. So this is what I was talking about. Incident data is viewed by different roles. We have dispatchers seeing it, PD seeing it, sheriff seeing it, command staff seeing it, jailer seeing it, the DA seeing it, the state and federal government seeing it for what you have to report to them, fire and EMS in the same boat, right? So this same data is having to be seen across multiple different roles and they're rekeyed or redone or revalidated across all those roles, right? And those inconsistencies will start showing up when you try to finalize rigor. Like when you try to pull data metrics and you pull a number, and you're like, that's not right. It seems inconsistent with what we've been experiencing, and that's what that result is, right? And that's because of all those breaks and all that reporting. So you have to reconcile that after the fact then. And then so your confidence in what you're seeing and what you're reporting, and then the confidence in the people you're reporting to, sometimes is limited because it's like, is this good data or not? Validatable. Which brings me to call handling as the entry point. This all starts when somebody picks up the phone. We started touching on that here a minute ago, but I'll let Jackie kind of get into this. Her, again, she's the call handling, she'll start at the beginning.
Yeah, so, just our thought as we're talking, Devon and I had conversations with Sarah, realized that there's some pretty significant challenges with the existing call handling solution. But the reality is, as an agency, you guys are gonna have to make a decision to move to a different call handling solution because the one that exists now, CallWorks, is eventually going to be sunsetted. So that's kind of, I think, where this all started, and then figured, hey, is there an opportunity to maybe talk about, from end to end, can we make all of your processes better, right? Like, call handling is one piece of that, but obviously it affects all of these other things, right? Like, it has a downstream effect. If call takers aren't getting accurate information when they pick up that phone, if they can't get location information, that's delaying care, that's screwing up reporting, right? Like, our times may be messed up. So what we're thinking is that, that call handling definitely could and needs to get better. There's a few things, and again, I don't want to go into like feature selling here. I think that that's probably better served at a demo to see how the system works, because seeing's believing. I can talk about it all day long. Doesn't mean anything if you don't see how it works and how it actually impacts you. But the reality with our system, it is next generation. It's i3 certified. We are really investing a ton of our resources into making call handling as effective as possible. And where that really benefits is in dispatches for the call takers, right? So our whole MO is dispatchers have to deal with a ton of stuff as it is. What can we do to make that easier so they can be more efficient at their job, get better information, more accurate information, and get that out into the field quicker? I think Sarah had talked about an incident that sounded like it was a little bit of didn't go too well because there was inaccuracies with location. It sounded like a pretty significant call, and couldn't get phase 2 data, or accurate location data, right? You're trying to ping these towers, you have no idea where you are. Your map, maybe your call handling map is saying, okay, we're here, but reality, your caller may be miles away. And we have a few tools in our system that helps get that location information more accurately. Besides just the normal ways of pinging towers, we have a feature called caller location query, which essentially is just being able to get a GPS location of a caller. Some things like integrated text to 911. Do you guys do text to 911 right now? Do you have that capability?
We do if it comes through on Rapid SOS. It doesn't come through on CallWorks.
Okay.
And a lot of ours end up in
JP, yes, that's just
and then they call us to say, hey, like, we got this. And so really the only time that we use that feature is when we get like 911 hangups or 911 open lines. We can't get them to answer their phone, we'll like drop them a text from Rapid SOS, but other than that, no, we don't really have
so
access to it.
Jackie, earlier we met yesterday, and that was something she was asking. She's like, I'm pretty sure JB County gets your text to 911s.
Wow.
Which is an issue.
That's a problem, yeah.
Yeah, because then they're either having to call us and relay it, or we're, I don't think they usually send a TTY through CCIC, which can be delayed, because if you're one dispatcher on and you're already dealing with a 911 on your phone and you're getting we don't have that ability to do multiple text 911 and a physical 911 or regular admin call.
Yeah.
And so then they might get put on hold, right? So there's some issues there, but no, I think the only time we ever get text 911 is through the Rapid SOS, or they're texting it through Rapid SOS.
Okay. Yeah, so just, certain things like that, so we have integrated texting, right? And I think that's probably more of, I'd like to have a discussion with our technical person, probably all of us, to put our heads together, because when it comes to the technical side of telephony, that's like, way over, but it sounds like maybe there's some infrastructure challenges there, that we can work
The
through.
other thing we don't have the ability to do is TDD tones. Which I'm pretty sure is a requirement.
That's a requirement, for
Yeah,
sure,
that's required.
yeah,
And for those, that's for hearing impaired, so we don't have the ability to drop TDD tones and talk to them and through, which is basically kind of like texting in one, but it's not, it's like voice to text, there's a lot more lingo to it, but we don't have the ability to do that. So if we have somebody that's hearing impaired, they usually now do text to 911, cause that's just a big trend, but yeah, we don't even have the ability to test to see if it's maybe a hearing impaired on an open 911 line.
yeah.
That might be a compliance issue there.
Yeah, for sure. And then you think about too, it's like, depending on the nature of that call, right? I mean, if you're getting a serious call coming in, every second counts, every delay that you have will have a impact down the line. So there are a few things within our system that can help address that, help make that more efficient. But again, I don't necessarily wanna get into that. I think a demo is better served, but this is kind of what sparked this conversation, is like, call handling is one piece, but I think that there is an opportunity here to look at, the whole thing, the whole life cycle between call handling all the way to jail and everything in between. I think there's an opportunity for us to show you a solution that is going to streamline a lot of those challenges that you're currently facing between all agencies.
And growth to show principles, and there's a good story too, so if you're wondering if they were talking about two disparate things, there's a story too about how call handling flows into CAD, so
Yeah.
these rekeying things we're talking about, there's a lot of proprietary functionality that's unique to Central Square that our call handling flows into CAD for you too, and we'll, again, without future parading you guys, we can get into that at a later time. Alright, pattern across public safety, so when you step back and look at all of this together, right, a pattern starts emerging. The issues aren't isolated to one function or one role, not dispatch, not SO, not EMS, not fire, right? They show up when the same incident is viewed at different points in time by different stakeholders. Over time, workarounds become the norm, risk accumulates quietly across response, reporting, and governance, and these patterns tend to compound over time, right, not resolve themselves. So that's kind of what I had alluded to before. Is this pattern seeming familiar now? Yeah. So why does a unified public safety? We've talked a lot about one thing, from beginning to end. Why does that matter, right? This is where that conversation starts changing direction, right? When public safety data lives in a single unified life cycle from call to clearance, many of these problems simply just don't exist. They don't occur. You don't have those problems anymore. Ownership stays clear, accountability is consistent, and reporting is reliable because that data never breaks or has to be reconciled. This isn't about bolting systems together, it's about operating from one shared data model. We're talking about one system, one environment, one application. Across the entire life cycle, from call all the way through custody and everything in between. Whether it's on your guys' side or on the law side. Yeah, for sure. Then we don't have those breaks. We don't have that problem with the thing. So what is it gonna do for you, right? I put some points on here that I thought would be important, but I also think that this is a good discussion point too. This is a good point to have this discussion as well. Here's some things that came to mind that I see in a lot of other agencies that are in the same kind of circumstance. But then also after our conversations with Sarah, this is some I think somewhat reasonable deductions I was able to make, and that's so when the life cycle is unified, the outcomes change, right? Authority level reporting becomes accurate and defensible for billing, cost allocation, like we discussed already. Accountability across agencies and custody is clear, so we know whose reports is what, DA. Operational friction drops because the manual correction is reduced. So now we don't have to go and do those corrections throughout the life cycle of these incidents, whether it be in the dispatch or a deputy in the field, or fire trying to report after the fact, or EMS trying to report after the fact. During critical incidents like the one you spoke about already, leadership has greater confidence in the data that they're getting. All of you will have greater confidence in knowing what's going on at the time, and then in retrospect what occurred and how to report what occurred. Most importantly, the county gains a sustainable foundation that supports your long-term operations instead of creating these repeated investment cycles where I think that we caught early here today, right? We're catching this early enough, but now we're starting to initiate like something that's going to grow with you, but then also be functional for you for a long-term life cycle. So we don't have to continue hashing this, nor do we have to continue creating workarounds. All right, let's talk about some of these outcomes. Again, these are my deductions from my conversations, but it's always helpful to hear from you guys, especially since we have the majority of you in the room, right? Except for the chief, but what do you think would make the biggest difference?
I think we're with Flex, there's been, some focus on having it all on the same platform except for fire and EMS. So if this is what this presents and then we're all on the same platform, seems like systems talk better when they're all on the same page.
Yeah, unity, so unification
Correct.
would make a huge difference, do you think? Be a huge impact on us? Okay. What else, anything else?
And the data piece is huge as well, like we're talking, especially on this board, that's a big piece of how we decide what we're paying and the budget is and everything, so that's huge as well.
Yeah, so reporting the data, accuracy of the data, and then accessibility, like are we able to access that data relatively easily, right? Without having to, or have the data present itself. Can we put something on my dashboard that every morning in whatever graph makes most sense to my brain, shows me what's going on for the last week? Or can I produce an output and email it to a city council member or a county commissioner every Monday morning if I wanted to, without me having to keep doing it?
Exactly.
Yeah. How about from fire, anything that resonates for you?
I think we already talked about it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lenny?
Yeah, mine's obviously the accurate information and how quickly we get it.
Right.
It's dispatched tremendously.
Well, to bring this back home, what we're talking about here is how we're serving our public safety mission, right? Our public service mission throughout the entire county, whether it's from, fire or EMS type standpoint, all the way to law, right? How we're serving the citizens, our ability to serve them. That's what we're talking about, right? Cool. This is how we propose to continue the conversation, right? What we like to do in our model, especially Jackie and I, when we work with agencies, is it's more of a partnership type based thing. I can sit here and sell you a bunch of cool features and stuff like that, stuff you may or may not need or care about. Or we can kind of partner with you to see what you actually do. How do you do business today? And how do you want to do business in the future? And then can we wrap this around how you do business or how you want to do business? That would be the point of getting in here. So we're not just slapping the hood on a used car saying this baby's $30,000, right? We're saying like, okay, what is necessary for you? Does this work for you? How do you want this to work? And we do that discipline specific. So we'll hang out with fire, or we'll have a call, we'll jump on a call and we'll just go through everything that is your day. EMS, SO, we can do ride-alongs, or we can jump on a call too and say, hey, how do you want this to look? How do you want this to work? It's gonna help when I give you context when you see it, right? You're like, okay, cool, this is how I think that I wanna do that. And so that way I can really wrap this and build this around you. Going into dispatch, I've already seen a ton in the 5 minutes we were in there, like, okay, I see how many monitors she's got, what the working environment is like. And so that tells me a lot already about what kind of things could be helpful and what kind of things are not necessary to pay for probably, right?
And I think the biggest thing too is just coming from a consultative approach, right? Like, we get that these solutions are not cheap. This is a huge investment. It doesn't matter if you choose us, you choose a competitor, it doesn't matter. It's a lot of money. So our biggest focus is does it make sense for your agency, right? Can we help solve some of those challenges? Because if we can't, then we'll be the first ones to say, hey, look, like, maybe not the best investment of taxpayer funds. But our biggest thing, like Devon said, is that, we wanna be consultative to you. We want it to make sense. We really want to present something to you that's actually going to work, because, you guys are experiencing the pain now when you make a decision about something that's maybe not completely, well, I don't wanna say completely vetted out, but you learn things after the fact, right? Like, you're like, okay, this looks really good, let's just move forward, and then the downstream of that creates a lot of challenges, and that's the last thing that, as a company, we would ever want you guys to experience again. So again, from a cost perspective, we know it's a lot. From a time investment, we understand that that's a huge pain point. So we wanna make sure that, whatever our conversations are, it's about you. It's about what's gonna help solve your problems.
I guess from my side, like Jeremiah said, I came in really late, right, it's October of last year. What I would like to see is we build something that's built for us. We're not paying for a program that we're only utilizing a third of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's, on the dispatch side, obviously, that's huge, right? Because there's a lot of features in Flex we don't even touch on because we don't need it.
Right.
And what we do need, it's not working, right? So for me, and I think I could probably speak for the board, we wanna build something that is what's gonna sustain Lake County moving forward and not just keep paying for stuff that we don't utilize.
And what I'm hearing, to boil it down to simplicity for my brain, what I'm hearing is we need a good business case based upon return on investment. ROI is a hinge pin here for us, that if we're gonna invest even time, let alone dollars, into something, we better see the return better. Is that right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
On the Sarah's point too, is this something that can expand with us? Like, is it, if we purchase a product, is it kind of set in that realm, or is it something that we can add things that we're not using now but may use in 10 years?
So scalability is important too.
Yeah.
So say that, you mentioned a township, I forgot the name already, but say they grow enough where they need their own police department. Now what? Can we add that police department on? That's, 4, 5, 6, 10 more officers, right? Or what if we set up different fire districts because, we need a better, different coverage or something? Can we grow and scale to that as well? Is that what I'm?
Yeah, is that easily doable on your platform?
Easily. Yeah, very, very easily.
It seemed like it, but that's just the question.
No, for sure, that's a great question, I'm glad you asked.
What we need now is not necessarily what we need 10, 20 years, and can we easily add those features on that we do need?
No, thank you for asking that, because that contributes to this, what we're talking about, the long-term viability of the investment to begin with, right?
Right.
Great. Say our ROI makes so much sense now, right? Cool, this helps us today, good return on investment. It's smart to be future focused. Does this grow with us? What's our long-term viability? Nobody wants to be sitting in this room listening to software people talk about software in another 5 years, because it's not the best thing to do with their jobs. Right? I know what it is.
We're enjoying the conversation.
Listen, man, I know.
Yeah, and I think the other important part too, especially because we are so small, right, we're one of the smaller counties in the state.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility for OEM to have room in this CAD system? If we're looking at a large incident, can they have access to CAD to monitor and review? So maybe they're not having to sit right next to the dispatcher, they can just pull up the call screen and see the radio traffic getting dropped in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked about this. Field ops, I've talked about it a couple different applications. That's another way I've seen it leveraged. If he has it on his phone
Yeah.
or on his iPad, he'd have that. So if you have to set up like a command post and you're doing some, what's that, IDS, ICS.
You were getting there, just waiting for you to go through the alphabet.
Yeah, let me tell you, I really paid attention when I took my classes.
Let me tell you, you cops, don't do the best with ICS.
Really paid attention, I can tell you. Right.
But yeah, because we are so small, right? And
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I would love to see this be something that would be beneficial to not just our first responders, but the county and our OEM.
And everybody's seeing the same thing at the same time, so we're not having to translate that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and all in the same instant, like it's not even, you put in an update in dispatch, everybody sees it, right? Like, hey, the shooter's still there.
Yeah.
You're gonna wanna know that before you send fire and the second responders in to start saving some lives, right? Cause you guys need to go clear the scene or secure the scene, right?
yeah. Yeah, so for the command post, like that would be awesome. Or if it's, and this is kind of what I've been telling dispatchers, to get their calls dropped as quickly as possible
Yeah.
in pending. Cause if you have a really good officer, they're already pulling up the call before they're getting dispatched to it,
Yeah.
right? So they might be heading that way before they even get told.
Yeah.
And to see those live CAD notes dropped immediately would be huge. In an incident, we're talking massive, where OEM's activated, to be able to pull it up and get the times that they need immediately, right? Not have to go back there and say, hey, can you get us the times for this incident for our after action report? For them to be able to do that on their own and be supportive. Or if they're dropping in because the EOC's activated and we put them on the call.
Yeah.
He could say, family support center is located here, and it doesn't necessarily
Command
have
post
to.
in this driveway or this
Correct.
intersection or parking
Yeah,
lot,
so it
everybody knows.
would really become a working agency, not just, hey, call dispatch, radio dispatch, where we our one dispatcher on sometimes and they're just overwhelmed.
So here's a couple of use cases, so we're talking big major incidents, right? So in a big major incident scenario, right, when you do set up that command post, now we have a tactical dispatch position on a laptop that's the dedicated dispatcher for that incident. Freeing up the dispatcher that's back here for everyday regular business, all because you're accessible to the cloud, you can do this anywhere. And so you can deploy that asset out in the field, and that takes the burden off of right here. So if you have a call-in type sheet, you're like, hey, I need you to call in, you're my tactical dispatcher.
See, you're already talking our future goals, cause somebody over here would like to go tactical dispatching, right?
For sure, it's literally just a matter of having a laptop on a shelf somewhere and logging in, and it's the same functionality you get over there inside of that thing, and then she
You're
goes
just
sit
not
next
getting
to
the
them.
911 calls.
No, you can.
I will,
Why not?
I will say though, with everybody being able to work together, like what I saw yesterday when I was in the park watching your guys' system work with like their CAD system. The thing that I thought was cool was like, yeah, you saw an officer over here that just completed a traffic stop, and like we might not have a bunch of officers on, but if I have an incident come in across town and I see that I have an officer that just finished a traffic stop over here, I can already estimate like how long their response time is. And then I can relay that over to like fire EMS that are en route and say, hey, like I've got PD coming in from Harrison, you might beat them there, you guys should stage before they get to the scene, stuff like that,
She likes
instead
the
of just like
GPS
creeping.
component
Yeah,
that is available.
No, AVL's great.
Yes, it is cool.
AVL's great, especially in those scenarios, right, where like, hey, you know, I know when I've been doing CPR for 5 minutes and I'm dripping sweat, where is the ambulance, right? How far are they? They're still however far away, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
From the
cool.
dispatch side, it's awesome, you know, I've watched an officer go the completely wrong direction into a call. Cause they were cop shopping, and then, you know, I waited until he was like right on scene before I asked the sergeant if he could stand down. He comes out, he's like, I forgot, I was like, did you forget where you were going? He's like, I forgot, you can see me on the map. But
I've done
it's,
that before.
on the dispatch side, like, we really like the accountability, right? So if we have even a jail deputy in a patrol car, right, and they're traveling, like, it'd be nice to know, one, if they call out something and they don't know where they are, do we have
For
to pinpoint
custodial
where they are?
transports, cause you're
Yeah.
transporting inmates to a different county.
Or
Yeah.
even EMS transports when they're taking a patient over, like
Yeah.
you get stuck in traffic or something, you know, like that's when we can also like help you, like, hey, like you've got an open route, like over here, go that way, or.
Just to like, yes, sir.
I didn't interrupt your thought, but does your capability able to determine the speed limit of what they're speeding?
So you wouldn't do that on AVL necessarily. There are some other mechanisms to do that if you wanted to monitor, like their speed of travel, right? Cause AVL, if you think about it, is near live, not live.
Okay.
And I say near because it's like fragments of a second, so you can't legitimately say that it's live, but it's near live, right? So,
We had the capability, but we turned it off.
probably a good
There's some
plan,
reasons why,
probably a great plan.
but it did have the capability to do it.
Right. When we get to the solutions consultants too, they can kind of show like how that works and how they do it. I'm not exactly the most knowledgeable about everything that there is anything, right? But I know that I've had to have conversations with my officers before about their driving behaviors. Or when I get a traffic complaint from a citizen saying my officer was doing such and such, I can go back and review it. Be like, yeah, hey dude, you can't do that, right?
I do see great value in the OEM for this, I really do. Cause you know, in the incident command structure itself, I mean, major things are always time stamped.
Yep.
And then they can see it real time in the EOC, to make decisions without having more conversation from the liaison, from IC to the,
They can see requests, so
Yes.
right from on scene to dispatch, they can see that request be put in live.
and then they're not trying to get into web EOC or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they need to.
Think about like
Based on
master information too, master names, master addresses, master vehicles that are all gonna also be present in that very same screen, hyperlinked with the single version of truth. So if, like one use case I had, there's been several of them, but I'm gonna try to get back and forth here. One use case I had was, fire and EMS would usually know if residents had bed bugs that PD wouldn't know. And if we're going to a call there, it's
You
great
wanna
that.
know,
they had that, they knew because they go there for medical calls, we don't necessarily go there for law calls. And so we were able to flag that this place had bed bugs, so we were aware of that before going in. Or some other communicable disease perhaps, when COVID was around, we used to flag for COVID and run it for 2 weeks, and then it would expire after 2 weeks, because that was the CDC recommendation, right? So we knew when we went to these things that, hey, this is a COVID house. Conversely, when police or law usually typically finds out if somebody's not nice, before fire and EMS goes, and how many times does fire and EMS get dispatched to a call that PD doesn't go to? And so it'd be nice that when that call comes in and that name is on your screen, it has we called it 1050, but it had like
It's like a caution,
A caution,
yeah.
that dispatch can see it and,
everybody can see it,
Yeah.
the same version of truth. This guy has a vicious dog, so before you guys make entry, to help this person, hey, is your dog put away? Or this person hollers and screams, or he has a mental illness that causes him to do this, or he, we've had incidents with him being armed.
Yeah.
And so maybe we dispatch PD along with that, so you guys have that awareness immediately and everybody sees the same version of truth.
Correct.
And then think about that even at the EOC level, right? These elements are going to be inside that call that you're looking at as well, it's all the same call, everybody's looking at the same thing.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah, 100%, so you'll know if this person is, has a mentally ill tag to it, maybe you guys create a mentally ill tag saying this person is, we have those freaking callers, right, that have those incidents a lot of times because their mental illness causes that, and that can be,
from the dispatch side, it's super helpful, so you can do bolos on them, but you can do officer caution, like safety notes on them, and it pops on the dispatch side, so if it's a medical call, and let's say they're not aggressive to EMS or fire, but they are to law enforcement or whatever, or we could say on all EMS and fire calls, an officer is required to respond, that tells dispatch to go ahead and say, hey, we need to get, we're not gonna say just fire EMS, like we're gonna assign a law unit to respond with you guys, but you'll know why, because on your side, you'll see it, this is why they requested it. And then I know this is more of a selling point, but on the fire side, we can build greater alarms where it tells dispatch which units from which agencies you need. So on a structure fire, wildland fire, if you say, hey, I need a greater alarm, when we activate it, it will tell dispatch from this county, you want a type 6, right? So there's a lot on the CAD side of it that really streamlines your operations, but it really streamlines dispatches.
oh yeah.
And as you know, we wanna get there,
Yes,
Yes.
we would like to be streamlined,
yes.
Airstream.
Yeah, that happens overnight, literally that's just a basic core functionality, run cards, right? Awesome, so here's what we're asking for today. So this was what I said, 4 bullets along what success looks like as far as our trip out here goes. And that's, if we agree that these problems, that what we have going on right now is worth solving, the things that we kind of went through. If we agree on evaluating them through this unified lens that we're talking about, this one application, one database, we're all one team here doing the same stuff, right? If we can agree that that unified lens makes sense. I put guidance on who should participate next. It sounds like the only person that's maybe in the room that would be a decision maker is the chief that's not here. I don't know yet the governmental aspects, but anyway, just guidance on if we are to continue, who do we make sure to have in the room that's the decision maker so we can get this thing moved along, right? And then, is there anything that you would need to see, or what would you need to see next? Or what would you like to see, or how would you like this process to go? Again, from our standpoint, we're more guiding and helping through this process, right? So communication, two-way communication about what do you need to see? What do you want to see, right? And so I'm not just sitting here showing you all this shiny stuff, like, look, it's got power windows, right? I can sit here and do that all day, but what do you need to see? What do you want to see? What's important to you to move this forward, right? What answers can I give you yes, or perhaps no to, like, hey, no, it's not financially feasible, or that's not a capability we have, but this is the way we do that instead. You know what I mean? Like, those are the conversations that help us all to determine whether the fit is right too. So what do you need to see? That's what the big ask is today, is those 4 things. That's it. Questions and dialogue?
I have a few questions.
Jason?
And these could be questions that lead towards your last bullet point there, if you wanna follow up with these later, or if you have answers now, whatever's. And I'm sure my list will grow also. Yeah. What Colorado agencies are you working with?
Very, very many. Our footprint in Colorado is huge. And we have everything from like South Metro Denver, to huge consortiums like Weld, CRISP, to small agencies. Trinidad is probably my more recent one that I have brought on. I think they just got call handling as
Yep,
well.
they just
Los
signed
Animas County down there. They're a smaller agency too. That's pretty good. With in fact, very reminiscent of what your structure is here down there. So I'm telling you these, but here's my ask. My ask would be if you do want references, I'm happy to provide them for you. We as an organization have taken the stance that we try to be respectful to our customers as you would appreciate. So we have a way that we maintain these references and reach out to them to make sure they're okay with getting calls and emails and stuff, right? I'm happy to provide you references. If you want them, just kind of give me some parameters of what you want, because it might not, like, Parker Police, who's on Enterprise, is probably not relevant to you, because they're using a different system, different ecosystem thing. But I'm happy to get you a few references to kind of start that process. But just let me kind of.
And when he says South Metro Denver, he means South Metro Fire.
Yeah.
So, big fire agency is on Central Square. And then El Paso, all of El Paso and Teller, besides Colorado Springs Police, because they created their own CAD and they are special. We're gonna put that nicely. But they have their own CAD system. So out of all the agencies in El Paso and Teller, CSPD has their own CAD system. But they do.
No, it's like their own RMS, because they're still dispatched through El Paso Teller, which is our CAD.
No, CSPD dispatch has their own CAD system.
Oh, because they just did that RFQ and they did some cooperative buying agreement thing.
So maybe it's changing? They went to one, they hated it, and then they went back, so.
Again, as far as
but-
life cycle goes, you see them in 3 years.
Yeah, but like Cripple Creek, it's super small agency, Teller County Sheriff's Office, City of Woodland Park, El Paso County Sheriff's Office, they're all on Central Square.
I think more relevant to you too, and if you do have that request, more relevant to you too, I might pepper in some Montana agencies, those are most similar to your environment here. And they use our pro thing that we're talking about, and I think that would give you a little bit more information from a user standpoint on like how that's going for them and how the build went, how, you know, all those types of questions, right? I mean, I can give you Colorado agencies for the sake of Colorado's sake. However, I think Montana would certainly be a good, they have a lot of agencies that are very similar to yours.
Yes, yeah, Montana we have some really great references there that use our call handling and CAD, which I think is good for you guys to talk to, because they'll tell you about the interoperability between the two. It's pretty unique, pretty cool.
Yeah, good, the bad, the ugly, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Things look.
What's your next question, sir?
How long have you been in Colorado?
Lots of years. So the history of Central Square is such that we took 3 of the top markets, systems and brought them under one umbrella called Central Square. And so TriTech, Zerker, there's a couple of companies that are legacy companies that are now under the umbrella of Central Square, but their products we iterate on and continue to grow, and then that's what we provide, okay? And so 30 years, I would say from that perspective, right? We've only been a banner or a name as one for
8, I think. Is it 8?
8 to 10
Central
years.
Square is
8,
like, yeah.
because when I was at Woodland, it was TriTech, and we switched.
So TriTech is another one, right?
Yeah.
And Woodland TV, yeah. And so,
These are just rough idea questions, but what would be approximation for a transition time?
we move as quick as you wanna move. So here's the thing, the first thing that needs to occur is we need to get to contract. To get to contract, we need to figure out what you need, what you want, that you want it, that you need it. And so if the if is resolved, then it gets to the how. How can I structure this that makes it viable for you to procure, right? And that's from like a terms or a payment or like a financial standpoint, right? I have a lot of leeway to be as creative as I need to make it happen. So if we get to the point of having that conversation, don't just turn your pockets out at me. My business is making it happen, okay? So the sooner we get to that, the sooner we can get you on the project.
Right.
right? For Pro, honestly, it's as fast, it depends on the complexity of your organization, what you wanna do, what you need us to stand up for you, how your availability is for timing, for the deliverables that you guys are going to have to do, and then, training and stuff like that, right? 12 months is a very conservative, I don't anticipate you guys taking that long.
Okay. That would 12 months be the project time, or is that including like contract review and other?
Project
like
time,
day one?
I mean, listen, if you guys tell me, send me a contract tomorrow, we can get the contract done next week, right?
Yeah.
So it just depends on the motions of the government, right? And how fast you guys want me to move, because I'm here with you.
Okay,
So whenever we get the contract, 12 months from now.
okay. What are your contract terms, lengthwise?
Yep, typically 5 years before renewal. Yeah, typically 5 years before renewal.
And I know we're not gonna jump into numbers today, but just curious on what's the general model? Is there a big upfront fee and then a smaller annual fee, or is this like a annual fee that's split up over the 5 years?
Yes and yes, so I can do it however you need to, however, our standard terms, so we got away from that like super huge upfront capital expense, because that's difficult, that's a hard thing to overcome, right? And so instead what we do is we do like a subscription model based, and so you'll have two costs. You'll have your subscription, which is your annual subscription, and then you'll have your project cost, what it costs for us to send our project teams out and do all the things. Typically, I keep those around 1-to-1. So if your annual subscription is $100,000, because it's a round number, then your project cost will probably still be somewhere around there. Okay, and that project is just a one-time fee, and that's what gets your project up and running. I can do a lot of things with that, because I understand that it's sometimes difficult to come up with that capital. So we can do what we need to do with that. But otherwise, your annual fee would just be due on the anniversary of your project funding. Of note, the project cost does include deliverables. So remember all those things I talked about, like the training, the support, my unit, my team coming down here and working hand in hand with you in dispatch, in your cars, everything, to get you stood up properly, doing BPR. BPR is our business process review. It's how we define exactly what you want this to do, and we make it happen. That includes all that, and on the back end of that, the deliverables are such like your white papers, like what teaches you how to do this, if you need to go back and look at it again, or if you have a question about wanting to do something additional, how do you go get that for yourself? The annual subscription fee also includes some things. So we talked about your IT, you guys had alluded to some IT issues and who's got the bandwidth to do things or whatever. IT is no longer an issue. We manage the system for you. We manage everything that it takes to keep you up and running. And so I think we would start with a cloud environment, right? On-premise models are slowly phasing out. They can be more cost effective sometimes, but anyway, I would think we'd start with the cloud type model. You have no downtime with that. All your upgrades, all your patches, all your bug fixes, anything is managed by us in the cloud already. You don't experience that interruption in continuity of service.
Okay.
So it's inclusive.
A couple more billing questions and we can get to Jackie has one online.
Please.
Is there additional costs that we can expect, like let's say from like the maintenance side? I imagine add-ons, if we wanna expand or something, would cost extra, like if you give us that annual cost. One thing we're doing with Flex is like, oh yeah, that costs more, oh yeah, that costs more.
Okay, I see what you mean.
What would be, is that like part of the model?
No, I understand your question just from previous engagements with other previous Flex or Motorola or Spillman or Flex customers. So our model is not as such. When you get our suite, you get the entirety of the suite. There are things that would be lifts and costs, and those are like if you want extra additional functionality. Like for example, AI. If you want to leverage AI, which we have integrated, implemented, industry-leading AI, then that's a per user cost. Albeit cheap, but it's a per user cost. If there's certain interfaces that you want to make happen, typically there's like I'm going to include a shell interface thing, so it's gonna maybe probably fall under that, so there won't be any lift. But when there's specific additional interfaces, that's a lift because we have to have teams to create those. Like if you want an interface directly to, if you had some sort of station alerting thing that we don't have an interface built for, but we wanted it to do it automatically, usually there's workarounds that are not. But some agencies insist on paying for it and having it done, right? Then that would be a lift, right?
Okay, sure.
Otherwise, our model is mostly like we have like a per user, a per terminal kind of thing that we kind of play around with. But other than that, there's no lift or cost. When you get the suite, it's the entirety of the suite. And I'll show you what that means when we get into like actually touching
Okay.
it, right?
So
And
can I
then-
ask a question along
Yes.
those lines? So like for the dispatch side.
Yep.
For call handling, to have EMD Pro QA,
Mhm.
would there be a charge for that Pro QA system?
So there is, what I was telling him is there is we understand that most agencies have at least 3 probably interfaces that they need to do, whether it's with CAD, RMS, JMS, right? We understand that. And so we have a line item that allows you up to whatever 3 interfaces you need. It's in addition to that. Or if there's there's 1,000 interfaces out there that people need. Like if you imagine the amount of agencies and the different products that are out there. And so it's hard to keep up with developing for all of those. And so we also have an open API environment. So we'll also provide that to you. So if there's anything that does come up, you can have that company write to it and it's already yours. You already own it. We're not charging you that.
So like so Pro QA is charging us to integrate into the system, right? You guys aren't charging us on top of that to integrate Pro QA into the system?
Technically, yes, but it's already built into the cost.
Gotcha,
So technically, yes.
okay,
Right, I'm not gonna hide it in the cost, because technically you are being charged for it.
okay.
But it's included within the cost that will be.
Within that quoted price.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Tag on to what he was talking about. You said it's 12 months. Is that when the 5-year start that we paid for?
Yes, so the 5 years will start upon delivery, so we'll deliver you the software and all the stuff, because you have to have it before we can start working on it.
Okay.
Within like the first couple of months.
So but at 12 months, that's when the 5 years start.
So once
If
we go
it's-
live,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
when our annual date is, or from when you start the project?
When you start the project. Upon delivery is when it starts. So we sign the contract tomorrow for the measure. It probably take, I think with cloud deployments, the delivery is pretty quick. It might be like within a month or so. And then when we deliver that, next month is when your anniversary date will start. That's when your 5-year deliveries will start.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Is there an annual percentage increase, or is it set for those 5 years and then there will be an increase after the 5 years?
Yeah, good question. So in the cloud terms, starting last year, there's a 5% increase year over year. So in year 2, 5%, year 3, 5%, year 4, 5, et cetera, and so on.
Okay.
And then, my last billing question was, we all go to dinner, but we wanna split the tab. Is that something that's pretty easy for you guys to do? Because we are just one board, representing dispatch. However, as the sheriff, I wanna focus on my sheriff budget. The chief wants to focus on his budget. Chief wants to focus on EMS, et cetera. Is that pretty easy to do for you guys?
So that's more typical that I see, especially like in board type environments, everybody wants to know their breakout, because everybody has their own budgets. And so, what I'll do, here's the thing, and if, I'll do what you want me to do. However, it's a pain in the butt for me to break it out individually and do individual contracts, right? And you guys won't get the same service because you're on the same build. So, what I would recommend is, much like you've already discussed IGAs, so we'll do one master service agreement that includes all of the agencies. I'll break out costs, like, hey, fire's only paying for field ops for 2 things, so their thing is $240, and EMS may be the same, dispatch has CAD and all these other things, you have a jail and all these other things, so these will be your costs, right? As part of that, I'll break that out, and then you guys, through IGAs, will probably decide who's paying what to how, and then we'll roll it up into one. That's the easiest, best way to do it, in my opinion.
2 more quick questions.
Yes.
You guys do evidence?
Yes, evidence is already baked in, it's included.
Okay, and, the call works mentioned of it expiring, do we know when that is?
Within the next 5 to 7 years, they
Okay.
phase out. So I would like to know if it's possible to get the quote just for call handling side of it.
Sure.
And see what that would look like and how quickly we could integrate it, not only because CallWorks is phasing out, but because of the amount of issues we're having with call handling right now. We can deal with Flex for the next year, right, or even 5 years if we decide to stay with that CAD system. The call handling is detrimental to what's happening from dispatch to the field.
Is it gonna work better if we just go?
I mean, well, yes, ideally. But for example, and we can talk to Park County about this, right, because they have Central Square for their call handling, and they have a different CAD system that's not Central Square. So if we wanna, in an immediate fix, an immediate critical issue for dispatch is call handling is detrimental. So even if it takes some time to get to where we want for flex for all agencies to switch to Central Square, I still think our dispatch's number one issue is the call handling. Fix first, and then CAT second.
Jackie, I appreciate your patience. What's your question?
No worries. I just had a couple of questions. One, you said that you'd help them with IT because this would be hosted and all that. Would you also help them with GIS, and how much GIS help would you give them? Because I know that some of their difficulties today are not necessarily the system, but their GIS data. And as you heard us talk about earlier, getting somebody to get that data up and running, I just wanted to know what Central Square's involvement in GIS would be.
Absolutely, thank you for asking that. That was something that I did earmark for myself from that earlier conversation. A couple things. We ingest GIS, we can't produce your GIS for you. And so we don't have anybody that's gonna be able to do your GIS, right? You have to have a GIS person to provide that to us. So I'm not gonna be able to fill that role. However, to the point of like actually having it usable in a system, once that GIS data is produced by this person that you're talking about contracting, we ingest that and we integrate it, and then we help you keep that up to date.
Can it be automatic? So she works on it weekly.
Yeah.
And Jackie, you might know a little bit more of the terms she used, because I'm already blanking on the big words she was using, because that goes right over my head. She wanted to know with Flex, like, is it something that she could give you guys access, permissions to, and when she updates it every week, it automatically gets updated on the CAD side?
Right, so we would empower you to easily be able to do it yourself.
Okay.
Here's the thing, like, there's a lot of different ways that we can do things for agencies, and sure, we're here to help in a pinch if you need it, right? We really wanna empower you and make it easy for you to do these things yourselves, right?
So so she could update it.
Yeah.
But me, myself, as dispatch, or we assign a dispatcher's role to do that, could then once a month make sure the map is updated just by.
Drag and drop it, yeah.
Okay.
Additionally, the one thing though that we can accomplish, and it's not legit GIS, however, when we build this out, we can remap or rebuild map layers for you within inside of your CAD or in your RMS, and those map layers can be consistent with, say, jurisdictional boundaries or anything else layers that you wanted. So for example, if we need to define because sometimes, like especially in smaller communities, the boundary between PD and SO, for example, isn't necessarily always clear, or it's evolving or changing. And so we don't know who we're dispatching, or we don't know who we're billing, because there's sometimes contract towns, right? Or we don't know whose stats those count for or whatever, right? And so we can build those map layers in free-handedly down there. So that way you know what I mean, that layer is already existing within your system. And if you need to adjust it, you can just go in and adjust it without being an entire GIS evolution.
Okay.
So we can build those layers in there.
Right now,
Evacuation areas.
Especially evacuation areas. In fact, it has the ability to automatically tell you or send out even alerts to, like, say, a school or whatever, that, hey, we have a circumstance going, and if it's within this parameter, there's this zone. Like, one use case, so NREL. NREL is another agency I'm working with, the National Lab in Denver area, right? Research and energy, there's signs on the interstate. They're trying to get some CAD thing to handle alarms, but they also have a lot of sensitive things in there, and so when an alarm goes off, they need to know how far to evacuate, how bad is this, right? And then that needs to be sent to JEFCOM, because that's who their first responders are, and JEFCOM's a Central Square user as well. And so that's what we've showed them, it's like, hey, we can put that to the building, so if this alarm goes off in this building, we know that it needs this much room before people in here are not safe, and that's what we need to evacuate. Or a school, send a message to the school saying, shelter in place, there's a active incident in the neighborhood, right?
what is and I know the answer, but I want everybody else to kind of hear. What is the interoperability for CAD in Central Square to send other CAD messages to eForce? So like, I know, like, obviously Central Square can talk to Central Square, right? So if we built it and we had an MOU with El Paso Teller where we could send, if we're requesting CSPD to respond for a bomb threat incident or whatever. But the agencies around us, like Summit and Chafee and Newton Park, aren't on Central Square. So what is the possibility that we could CAD to CAD a call screen to them?
Yeah, so this will be an example of an additional product, separate from the base CAD and all that. And what this product is called is Unify. And the reason it's separate or additional is because it's actually a hub that we deploy agnostic to what people are using. We don't care if you're a Central Square customer, we just care that you're able to talk. So if a Tyler customer and a TAC-10 is what Power has, TAC-10 customer and an eForce customer are commonly co-responding or to anything, or they need to sync calls because the way fire and EMS have their boundaries set or whatever, we centralize them to a hub to CAD. So you can send, or in real time, just like you would in your MDT, get real-time updates for CAD, we can do that agnostic to whatever their CAD vendor is. And so if Unify was another piece of this puzzle that we can aspire to someday, or if we can budget for it, whatever, however you guys wanna do it, we can absolutely plug you into Unify. Caveat is, the agencies you wanna connect to also have to be plugged into Unify, right? So, yeah, Michael Berry over at Summit or Maria over at Tech or at Park would also have to subscribe to Unify, plug in so that you can all share each other's screens. And I mean, it's as simple, it's just not like there's permissions there, they don't get to sit there and see what you're doing all the time, but yeah, right.
So just talking from the mutual aid side of things, right, or even if it's a deputy that's in Chaffey County that calls out a traffic accident or whatever, or we're asking Chaffey to send, right? And the idea is when we do that greater alarm or we're sending it, we could just send that CAD screen to them and then they would have it in all of our nodes in live time.
In lifetime, yeah. Or say if there's a correspondent where you're both working on it and now you have those jurisdictional differences of different responders on there, right?
So if we're talking like another big, large wildland fire
Yeah.
or structure fire, and then those units responding, they get put on their CAD screen on their call on their side, but we see it in dispatch. So we could say, hey, so-and-so from Chaffey's in route, because the dispatcher in Chaffey County uploaded that note.
Is there anybody in our surrounding county on this that you know of?
Something some of those.
Jeffcom is actually who maintains the hub here, and so they're huge. They have a lot of people that are attached to them through that hub. I call it a hub just because like my brain pictures it as a centralized location. So whatever CAD data is sent there, it translates it to send it to the other CAD, right? Because it's all different information. So Jeffcom is probably the major hub in your area.
You're talking like our surrounding counties that touch.
And I'm trying to think who like here that's touching you guys
You
is
said
on
Park,
it.
you said Park's on it, right?
Parks
Oh,
not.
oh,
Park is not.
No, they use it for call taking, but not.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to help Maria.
Then we
out.
don't, yeah,
Yeah,
So the
so,
unified thing would be,
so
Like
Park
beneficial.
County, Park County only
If
has
they
the
are.
call
Oh, I
handling
see.
from Central Square, they don't have the CAD system. If they had the CAD system, it'd be much easier.
Working on it, I'm trying.
Because again, the idea is the South Central region, which is like Park, Chaffey, Tyler, and El Paso and Tyler are already on it.
Yeah,
right?
they're on it.
And so,
Needs to go north.
yeah, start taking over the North region. But yeah, so the idea would be, I mean, even Jeffcom though, right? So if Jeffcom, like on the bomb incident, they offered to send people, right? We could CAD Jeffcom say, hey,
Yeah.
can you send whatever, right? What it does is it frees up dispatch's ability to not have to place phone calls or send a teletype and go into, we can just send the CAD screen to those agencies. The Unify thing, because no one in our immediate surrounding areas is on it, would be something to look at, not necessarily a critical component, but it would be my suggestion that that's a future maybe thing that as we grow.
And Summit, so I've already got good relationships with Summit. I think they found, just as a board, because they did a whole RFP just last year, and as a board, I think they decided to go a different direction. I anticipate seeing them here in a year or two. But I could talk to them about that CAD to CAD, especially if you guys, if their adjoining counties have it, because Summit, they join with Park too, or Jefferson, right, would be,
Jefferson.
Clear Creek,
yeah,
like touching wise, so
Right.
it's up to Clear Creek.
And Clear Creek's on Jeffcom.
Oh, yeah, okay.
so that would be beneficial for Summit if they, especially if they, stay with what they selected, then we can just connect them, plug them into the universe or regional hub.
Jackie might, yeah. Jackie, what else you got?
Oh, sorry, I was just listening to the CAD to CAD and was wondering if the CAD to CAD was up between Parker and South Metro. Parker Lone Tree, South Metro. They've been working
I
on
wonder
CAD
if
to
it is
CAD.
between Parker, Lone Tree and South Metro. I don't know, I'd have to look. It's not one that I've set up, so it could have been existing prior to me, inheriting this state. I'm not certain if they're on the hub. I know Parker, Lone Trees, I mean, they're a major, agency for us. I just can't remember if they're on the Unify hub or not.
Okay, thank you, I was just curious, thank you.
Any other questions? No. All right, well, I really appreciate your guys' time. Nice to meet you both.
Yeah, very nice to meet you as
Same
well.
here, appreciate the discussion,
Yeah,
thanks for
that was
having
good.
us.
That was good. Yeah.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Has Central Square worked with Flex before? Like
Square what?
integrating their call works with Flex's CAD system?
Oh, well, integrate like our call handling into Flex?
Yeah, so that it
Oh.
like populates. How do you guys work with Flex?
Yeah, so we'll work from a call handling standpoint, we'll work with any CAD, but it's just gonna be the traditional Alley spill.
Okay.
Some of the like enhanced capabilities, we only have between our CAD,
Okay.
our Central Square CAD, but yeah, we'll connect to any CAD. That's not a problem. We'll work with anybody, because we understand that transfer data is important, so, yeah.
Good question.
I was okay. I got to learn a lot, so I'm fine.
It's good. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, we'll move on.
No, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you
guys.
so
We
much.
took enough time, didn't we?
Oh, no, you're good.
Oh, you're fine, yeah.
More than fine.
Valuable
Do
information,
you
so.
need to see dispatch again? I know you guys probably already saw it, but was there anything more on your guys' questions that you guys might have after seeing our center?
There would be a lot, and here's what I think would be the best use of everybody's time, and effort and energy, okay? If we are interested in continuing the conversation, and if we're interested in going down, I would want to, let's find a date that everybody's ready to be in here, and we can do, I'll bring a team down, and we'll go through front to back this thing. Show you what it looks like, show how it works, show what it does. Yep. And then ahead of that, though, we do like some discovery sessions, right? I'd get on the call with whatever respective discipline, and then we'd ask some questions and stuff like that. I think that might be the most efficient use of everybody's time. I can go back and do ride-alongs and all that stuff with you guys too, but I think I have a pretty good idea. Up to you, I'm happy to come back, this is a beautiful area, I like getting back in the car sometimes, right? I'm happy to do that, that's cool too, but I just wanna make sure I'm
Sure.
on your vibe, right? I don't wanna waste anybody's time.
Yeah, perfect.
From the dispatch side, I think that would be the ideal.
Okay.
Our dispatchers are trying to get exposure to the call handling side as they do some sit-ins with Park County. So I think that's been helpful for them to kind of, look at CAD and to have a full demo, I think, if we decide to continue the conversation.
Absolutely. Okay. So I'll let you guys have your internal conversations then.
Okay.
And should you decide, I just asked for like a couple weeks out to appropriate my team.
I wanna come back tomorrow.
Listen, I'm
We'll
fine,
never leave, we'll just stay.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
It's all my teammates that I gotta get out here, I mean, they got a calendar because they're showing other people things.
Right.
Prima donnas, a lot of them really. And so, and we like to make a deal of it, like we'll come down, we like to cater lunch, we like to do a whole thing, right? It's a whole day, so, yeah, we like to make a thing of it, so.
Well, I don't have anything on my side, but if I do, we'll
Do you have any
reach out.
questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, you guys are good, I'll let you,
You had great ones.
Thank you, thank you, yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's very nice to meet you.
Absolutely, you too.
Yeah, thank you for having
Well,
us.
nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you as well, sir. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Chief. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sarah, it's very nice to see you in person finally.
Yes.
Yes. Everybody has my contact card. That is my cell phone on there, so if you text me in the middle of the night, make sure you identify yourself as not another girl.
Okay.
And,
One of your troubles.
down the wife's crazy. Otherwise, please just ask, I just ask that if, just let me know which direction you guys wanna go, one way or
Appreciate
another.
it.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
thank
yes,
I'm
great
happy
meeting
to
you.
accommodate that,
Yeah.
and I'll start getting things set up.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much, appreciate your time. There you go, thank you so much.
Thank you, nice meeting you.
Yes. Is that your pen?
Yeah, probably.
I'm a pen thief, so like you gotta.
Yeah, that's true.
This is engineering.
Okay.
I'm up.
I only have, I already gave away my other one. Alright. Only got one.
Oh, the ADD pens.
ADD pens are great. I have one that's white and rose gold, but somebody stole that already.
Right.
Still going.
There you go.
This is mine.
That's your fidget already? See?
There you're gonna double.
I'm sold.
Good to go, right?
You're gonna be out there like this.
Right, that's all it took.
Get everything more next time.
Hey, not that I'm, whatever, but when I go out for demos, I bring a whole bag of them. The new ones are white with rose gold also.
All right, thanks guys.
All right, thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
All right, well,
We'll be in touch with Overshot to get that, I don't know if you found anything on that and that stuff.
Yeah, I asked, and we can't, but it's not something we can do because it's not provided to us, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked our technical people, but they were like, that's a good question, though, like, we don't think we can ask that before. No, we can't get that info.
But you get the wrong.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, all that stuff we'll get.
all right, we'll move on to the next item. So item number 3 will be report from Sarah.
So Everbridge, I know I sent Jeremiah a list, the Everbridge SOP policy. We've included SARS activations on that portion of it. Dispatch has been giving the Everbridge SOP. I will build the template for the E911 authority boards within the 5 minutes of something being confirmed. So they'll get step-by-step instructions, like with pictures on how to page that out. I'd like to do some test pages just to see how that works. So I don't know if you guys want me to schedule that with you guys, so you guys know what's happening, or if you just wanna see it at random times. I'd like every dispatcher to do a test page. Obviously, night shifters are not to do them
Thanks.
at night. But just to see if it's being effective and if we can get that going through that system. Everbridge confirmed we don't need to update our mapping with them. So we just need to get the sub-working group together, so we can get our evacuation zones identified and established, so I can build the shapes, which then, if we change to Central Square, we can give them those shapes as well, and those evacuation zones, so they talk together.
Yep.
So that's where we're at with Everbridge. I am waiting for Noah with DHS to get back in contact with me so he can fix my Everbridge access so I can have the dispatch access. So I had to give all the dispatchers, the organization admin access to both the employee and the civilian dispatch paging, so they can get all those templates, so they can page it out. So it doesn't change what they can do, it just, there's more that they do because of the organization admin. So once I can get the correct access on my account, then I'll rebuild those templates and I'll just translate it and then I'll remove their access off of that. But dispatch isn't supposed to send anything out not from the template. So I have created every template imaginative. The only ones I'm now working on are the EOC activations and who they want on those activation pages. As we've learned, not everybody, as a county employee, is built in Everbridge. So if there's somebody missing, I'll just have to get their contact information and upload that. Still working through our SOPs, cause there's a lot, so, and I don't wanna just dump a whole, 300-page binder book and dispatch, say, here you go, read it all and know it all. So we're doing it in chunks, so that's kind of where we're at on that side of the SOP stuff. Something I'm toying around the idea with is creating a dispatch-specific employee handbook that would be in conjunction with the county's employee handbook. There are some things on the county employee handbook that are pretty vague, and they are bringing questions up in the dispatch side. So I think to make sure that dispatch is very clear on what we can't do, what the expectations are, is having that specific dispatch handbook, employee handbook. Which of course would then need to be approved by the board and HR, to make sure that we're all aligned with that, and that those things make sense. So my ask is, if the board thinks that's reasonable, I can start working on an employee handbook.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I'm all for that, as long as it doesn't conflict with county stuff, that's fine.
Great.
That's really where we're at with that. We have headsets in dispatch now, so, as we're learning, I think some of the problems have been fixed. Yep. We did have a Motorola ticket put in because the boom mic was making everything jumbled on station 1.
Oh, that's what it was?
Yep.
Okay,
So that's
I'll pass it
why,
on.
yeah, so if they're coming back in jumbled, please let us know.
Okay.
Because Motorola just said it's fixed, and I don't think they actually came out and fixed it, so, would like to see any further issues so we can escalate it back up to Motorola and be like, with that ticket number, actually no, this wasn't resolved. And so that way maybe we don't get charged again for another ticket.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I haven't heard that same thing. There was at least one dispatcher that was really quiet, but go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I met with the state 911 Jennifer yesterday and got some really good helpful tips and information. Just for awareness, Lake County is one of 3 counties that doesn't have the EMD capability. Their goal for the state for 911 is that the entire state can do EMD. Out of the 3 counties, 1 is in the process of getting EMD. So really technically there's 2 that don't have that and we're one of them. But she also gave me some good contacts so I can start getting the radio requests approved through the state for those additional channels, so more to come on that.
Is the state willing to give us funding since that's one of their projects?
I don't know yet, so we'll reach out and ask them about it. As far as what we do have, we already have access and permissions for the Northwest, for Metro and Southeast Net. So those are things that we should already have on our console. Motorola has confirmed even the radio channels we're missing, like VHF 5 and Road and Bridge and some of the OEMs. They just have to put them on our consoles. They just have to put them, we already have them, they just failed to upload them on their side. So same with the tones things that we've already asked for and we've approved and we've paid for, it's a fix on their end, but adding those additional ops channels, the additional law enforcement channels. Even if we get the approval from the state to have those channels, like, then we'll have to pay Motorola to include them, so there will be a cost on that, so.
What's the time frame on that?
I don't know yet. I have to fill out the form and then get it up to the state. When I talked to Doug, he said it could take anywhere to 2 to 6 months, how quickly I get the forms filled out. And then how quickly the state moves.
And speaking of channels, do we want to change our channels and what's the time frame on that, like the names of our channels and?
Yeah, that would be a simple fix on the Motorola and then communication side, right? So Motorola can change it. I think we've got, I'll have to go back through and check to see who they gave the master permissions to. Cause dispatch used to, from my understanding, be able to go in and change the channel name. But then Doug would have to come up and redo everybody's radio to match. We're learning like wildlife keys up on the wrong channel. So just some things that we do need communication solutions to come up here. I think I was waiting on the undersheriff to let me know what he's needing from them, because I got yours, I got the chief's on where we're at with to getting him up here so we don't have to keep paying him.
Roll without us.
Okay.
We sent our need directly to them,
Oh, okay. Cool.
so just go.
Obviously, if we change anything else, then he'll have to come back up and add those radios channels, so. If you attended the radio training that the state provided, just some clarification, the travel channel you can be on and still stand. It doesn't, if you weren't in that training, the state had said, no, what it does is it bogs down, then, and it doesn't, there was some miscommunication.
Yeah, only if you're on the upper separate channel, they'll leave.
Correct, yeah, so it just, if you had anybody on that training, please relay back to them and you can remain on the travel channel. It's not an issue to then scan. And that's kind of where I'm at with dispatch.
I don't know if everybody in this group heard about the Everbridge page to us and where that came from. Would you mind giving some background on that this sparked with the conversation with the school district and the bomb threat that we had and who's getting notified now and when and stuff, so.
Yeah, so I do think I mentioned it last board meeting, but from the after action report on the bomb threat specifically, it was how can we notify basically our internal stakeholders first and then confirm and then escalate up to city and county leadership. Park County does something very similar with Code Red, is within a certain time frame after an incident's been confirmed, then they can send it to command staff so that they're aware. The idea is anything on a bomb threat, threats of any kind, confirmed active shooter, in any kind of fire. So we're talking structure, vehicle, or wildland, and then any kind of death, right? Whether it was unattended or it was suspicious, just because it might have been medical in nature, but is there a law component to it, right? That maybe EMS didn't catch initially until they got to the hospital or whatever. Dispatch, within 5 minutes of it being confirmed, then sends that Everbridge notification to basically the board and then whoever you deem as your second in command. I think I'm missing your second in command, yours, I've got Sammy on it already, and then my understanding is just the police chief. Then they'll send that Everbridge page out. I'm on it as well. I'm just saying, hey, for awareness, you know, this incident's happening here. And then from there we can escalate. So if then someone's like, hey, we really need to let city and county leadership know, we can send a sit rep to them so that they're just aware, they don't have all the details. And then if we need to do another one, because we're still investigating, and then if we need to do a briefing page, we can send out a briefing so that as incident commander or you as incident commander, and then give that formal briefing to city and county leadership, and then the expectation is from there, they notify all of their stakeholders. So we're just trying to streamline the information process right now, is kind of the goal on that, so.
Cool, thank you. Any questions for Sarah? Good. Alright, awesome. Alright, move on to the final new business discussion was policy approval and discussion on the policy committee.
So I had asked Sarah to start sending, some of the policies that she's changing so that we approve them, so that there's some sort of approval process for all those things. I had also asked her if she thought it was appropriate to have, told her it was probably appropriate for us to have a policy committee that she sends those to us, and then we recommend approving or not approving those based on that to the larger board, so that there's again a process for that. And I talked to Chief Daly about that the other day, he's willing to do that, so I'm willing to do that. So if you guys are okay with that, I'll have Sarah send any new policies or changed policies, to us for review, and then we bring those to these meetings and either recommend those be approved or not. If that works for everybody.
Yeah, works for me. Cool, Gary, any questions?
And there's just a slightly more formal process for it.
Yeah,
And we're all aware of the policy changes.
Should we do the ones that are out currently, or those are not?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if I sent you the second batch, the Bs through Fs, because that was a large one.
I don't believe so, I attached everything you had sent me.
Yeah, so I can send those again, because those are already out, and dispatchers already reviewed them and signed off on that, they acknowledge it, but we can always, if there's any modifications, we can revise it, you guys can approve it, and then we can send it back to dispatch, so that they're okay with it.
Yeah.
So you should have all of the admin ones I've created so far, and then some of the actual call handling SOPs.
So yeah, these ones will approve all as a larger board, but from now on, it'll go to you and I. And then we'll make a recommendation based on it, bring it to here, and then we'll kick back to Sarah for actual implementation. Cool. Let's see.
What's your turnaround time on that? Like, if you kick it to us, what's the expectation of us getting that back to you?
Sooner rather than later, would be
Okay.
cool.
Alright.
But I understand everybody's a little bit busy. I mean, I would like not 30 days, just cause sometimes these things happen and we need changes right now, or they don't have anything at all, and so for them to be able to have, Hunter maybe might be able to speak to it from the actual call taker dispatcher side, like, obviously I would love to have everything done, ready to go, especially as we're looking at getting new hires. And I would love our trainers to be feeling confident and ready to go with the SOPs when we get a trainee, and then they don't feel like they're looking dumb in front of a trainee essentially, so, that's kind of my goal.
Okay.
I don't know,
I'm hearing that I'll put it up on my high priority list. There you go.
I like it.
I've definitely felt more confident in getting these SOPs, because for the first initial 4 months of being off of training, I was flying kind of blind on basically I was trained to do it this way, didn't really have anything to back me up. Being alone at night is also very isolating when I don't have, I can't walk into Sarah's office and say hey, I have this really weird question. So having these has been really nice to be able to go back and be okay, this is where it falls into, this is what I'm doing for it. So it's given me a lot more confidence to be able to rely more on myself, especially when I'm alone at that console. So the SOPs have been very nice to have because it's filled that gap, I think, of what we've been looking for in dispatch of being able to have something to fall back on. When an officer comes up and they're like, why did you do it this way? Or anybody questions us, we can be like, well, it's because we followed it this way. This is the information that we were given, so this is the call that we picked out for it. And that's why we handle it that way, so it's been very nice.
Question, what was SOPs like today?
Right now, a Word document. I have all mine printed out in a binder.
So if those are digitized or perhaps even integrated within call type for visibility for everybody, and everybody's disparate SOPs are on the same call, that'd be helpful.
Yes, so yeah, the goal right now in Flex on certain call types, and I just have to go back through every problem nature and add what's called an SI, special instructions. It's a lot. So then I have to go then into every problem nature and add which questions I have to ask. Yeah.
My medical calls, my fire calls have a lot of SIs built into them.
Yeah.
Like, are they conscious, age,
Correct. EMD will change
what kind
the
of smoke,
medical
color?
and drop automatically, which would be fantastic and we would love dearly. But yeah, in SOPs, because they didn't have any before, they don't know what set questions they need to ask.
Yeah.
And yeah, so in CAD, it would be nice to have them be able to just launch.
Or how about it's just a tab that you copy and paste your Word documents into the, you can color code it, like gold, blue, red.
Yeah.
What part of it is it? Okay. Sorry.
You're good, it's good, that works.
Yeah, thank you.
So you wanna just summarize?
So it was very clearly identified that not everybody's answering the 911 calls the same way every single time. So that really impacts call takers, like the person on the other end of the call, right? Who will call 911 and they're not getting the same verbiage that another dispatcher is using. So the idea is that when a 911 call is placed, we really need to be answering it within 2 rings when possible, and that's just a huge, some of it aligns with NENA's standards and guidelines, but really it's the opening phrase, right? We shouldn't be changing the meaning of the question to a yes or no, right? Because if you say, okay, can you tell me what your phone number is? Well, the answer is, yeah, I can. Okay, instead of tell me the phone
What's
number
your
you're
phone
calling, right? So it's simple as 911, what is the exact location of the emergency versus 911, what's your emergency? Right, we know in our system and in our area, we need the location. Location needs to be our priority, and then we can confirm the phone number and then the nature before proceeding to specific key questions. So, this is exactly just pretty much that, how to answer a 911 call, kind of the process standardized so that every dispatcher is picking up the phone and saying the same thing, no matter who it is. So it standardizes that call taking process for them on 911s.
Questions on this at all?
I have a general question for the group, just so we're all on the same page here. I'm seeing a difference between policy and procedure here. If this is procedure focused, like step by step on how to do it, it's not falling, in my mind, underneath a policy umbrella of a policy committee. I think the policy is more giving us general direction of where we wanna see, major decisions being made. And if these are mostly SOP step by step, I think it's still good to present to us and ask for our opinions on how it may affect law enforcement, fire and EMS. I think it's still a good opportunity to discuss this. But that's why I guess the question for the group is, are you guys on the same page as me? Is this something that are we calling this a policy, or is this more of just a step by step procedure? Do we wanna see a separation of the two?
Sure. I'm all for that, it's just, we haven't really done any sort of reviewing of anything, so if we wanna separate out SOPs and policies, I'm fine with that.
Okay. That would be my suggestion, is still have the policy committee with you too, and we can start building our policy manual related to the handbook and stuff like that. We're really answering the bigger overarching questions and concerns. But I do see this separate as like a policy committee.
Sure. I'm fine with separating those out, just wanna make sure that
Yeah.
we're all on the same page with that, right?
Yeah,
So cool, sounds good.
Yeah, if you wanna pull up the Everbridge one, that one's more of a, it's sort of combined, but it is more of a policy.
Okay.
You wanted the 1.1 version, yeah?
So you can kind of see, it's still a standard operating procedure,
Mhm.
but it kind of defines who has the authority for this and the Everbridge guidelines.
Yeah, perfect, and then something like this could be drawn into a policy that, you know, for step-by-step instructions on how to actually go through this and log in here and go to this screen, you know, refer to policy, SOP number 5.
Policies are a little bit more vague,
Correct.
and then the SOPs are a little bit more standard. So in the employee handbook, I can definitely add that, like
Okay.
911s, here's the general policy,
Right.
and
Yeah.
see annex whatever
Yeah, definitely.
for that SOP. So in this one specifically, I do break it down from that internal, that's that E911 alert, which is basically level 1 EOC activation, versus the public safety Everbridge notifications. So, they kind of know what they should send, when they should send it, and then who can approve to tell dispatch to send it. Obviously, we don't want dispatchers to be sending out an active shooter page if it's not confirmed and somebody from the board hasn't told them, send this to the group. But it sounds like we might have some future solutions on that too. Hazardous materials incident, public health, all of those are the public safety notifications. And then if you scroll a little bit further down, there's that leadership situational awareness, so the SIP rep, flash SIP rep to the city and county leadership, to the briefing pages. The briefing page already has a Zoom link in it. I would love to test it because Zoom links do expire if they're not being actively used. So, and we learned that the hard way at the hospital. And to that messaging sequencing model, right? So within a major incident, within 5 minutes of it confirmed, then it might escalate up to that flash sit rep, to public safety notifications, to leadership briefing, updates and officers. If there's a error, if we send information incorrectly, dispatch's expectations on who they need to notify, how to update and send out those corrected pages, and then docking everything into the call for service. And then the documentation requirements. So really, Everbridge is sent in a timely manner. We're only using approved templates. Anything to kind of streamline dispatch, if the templates are used, it will be the same every single time. There shouldn't be a difference in it. Approval if it's applicable, and then any follow-up messages that we need to be sending and issuing. They are required to have Everbridge training for every new hire. They will also have to get iPods credentialed, otherwise they won't be able to send out iPods because it's integrated in Everbridge now. And then if there's reviews on it, doing test pages, anything like that.
I like the error correction piece, it's good to have in there, so it's, most of these procedures are, here's how you do it, but not here's how you fix it if you mess it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and then just making sure that there's a compliance piece, right? So failing to send a major incident alert to the board within 5 minutes of confirmation can be reviewed by supervision for corrective action and training. In here though, we break down into basically a decision tree for the E911 Communication Center. So is it confirmed? Yes, no, basically it's an algorithm, so dispatch can quickly reference it and follow it. There's further annexes further down, or attachments in this one for each kind of step. And that's just really so that in a large incident, nobody has time to read a policy or procedure. I've learned that the hard way at the hospital. Nobody wants to read 16 pages on a code and what they need to do, even though there's great information in your EOP. But this is kind of just to kind of streamline that. So a quick reference card to Everbridge activations, for each type of thing, they can kind of just quickly reference it versus reading. When we print this out, these will get printed out individually, and so they can just flip to it, not have to flip through the entire SOP. So, and I want to say SARS in there as well. I included that information. So yeah, I will work on in the employee handbook doing the overarching policies versus the SLPs.
And I think this is a good example of both in one. It feels like the first half of it is policy related, and then the second half where you get into your decision tree is the SOP. And that's maybe something Devon was talking about, you download to the program, and then it gives them that flow chart of action, is that kind of
It's
what?
rich text format, you can copy
Okay.
paste it.
Just throw it in there, yeah,
Yeah.
so there's quick access to it.
Which is
No.
great, because I'll tell you from the dispatcher side, to be able to just launch it from your screen is
Way
much
easier,
easier
yeah.
than
Oh, yeah.
go get
Flipping
a
through
book.
a binder.
You don't even have to launch it, it's present.
A tab, it's a tab,
It's
right?
tab.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, you can click over to.
So kinda like in EMD for ProQA, at the bottom of your key questions or questioning, there's like information for dispatch to help, right? So they can just read it right there, like, oh, that's more appropriate.
Want it to be there for law and fire too. You can color code it.
Oh, yeah, I like that. That's smooth.
Okay.
A lot of good work on this.
Cool. Other questions on this? Anything else? Okay, I get a motion to approve the Everbridge policy?
Second.
Alright, any further discussion? Alright, hearing none, all in favor of approving the Everbridge policy? Aye.
Aye. So is there anything else that's more of a policy, or are these just mostly SOPs?
No, I think most of them are more SOPs.
Okay.
Let me just make sure. The fire dispatching daily ops tax one, I know I already provided that to Chief Daly. That's more of a policy slash SO, it's a combined one.
Okay. Mhm.
This one though, really important, is because we define how we do fire dispatching. Which, as we know, is very different than EMS and it's very different than law enforcement. So how we coordinate with Lake MAC versus our TAC channels versus our state MAC channels. When we use it, so policy overview rate, it's kind of that big one right there. It's simple, scalable, predictable. So we'll use like command for routine dispatching in command, assign TAC 2 or 3. I know you guys don't have 3 yet, but that's the goal, is to get communication solutions up here to fix that. When tactical operations are required, so dispatch on they have a specific SOP for fire dispatching that tells them on which big calls for service a TAC channel is to automatically be assigned versus we don't assign it, and then if you guys are requesting how they do that. So they've been given that and an email, and thank you verbally, and all the other ways I've delivered it to dispatch to say, on these types of calls, you will shall must assign a TAC channel. Everything else keep it on your primary unless you guys ask for it. When we utilize like MAC as the standard mutual aid coordination channel, because it sounds like Chafee and Summit already have that specifically. And then when we need to escalate to a state MAC channel for large or complex. Obviously, we are missing all of the northern MAC channels. And I did find the MAC channels.
We have them?
We
Nope.
have them,
Okay.
yeah. We got put on our backup MAC, Lake MAC.
Oh, really?
We'll fix that. We'll
Okay.
look into that. But we are missing our northern MAC, state MAC channels, because the state groups us in the south central region, we actually fall under Southeast Net, which is really silly because then we have to go through Metro for state patrol. So we're in a weird, we actually fall in both, but the state recognizes us in the south central region, and that's why.
Nobody wants Lake County.
We're the redhead stepchild, it's fine. But that's kind of really it. So we'll not overassign channels, and we can assign more as needed or requested. So that channel assignment standards, right, default is like command for fire, and then we can escalate or de-escalate.
Perfect. Cool. Questions on this one? There's more into.
Yeah, there's a lot more into it, especially when you start breaking out Lake MAC versus MAC channels.
Sure.
When an incident commander requests it, obviously. So at the end of it too, they do have quick reference, like call sheets, so, it's not attached, sorry,
That's
that's separate, but yeah, they're able to just quickly reference some of the stuff.
Questions or anything on this?
Looks good.
You got a motion to approve this one?
Second. Alright, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the fire dispatching policy? Aye.
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 Yeah, the rest of them are gonna be pretty much same, policies at the beginning, and then the SOPs are after that.
Okay.
So what I can do is I'll just take that first initial half and put it into an actual just
Yeah.
dispatch policy.
Yeah.
We'll keep the SOPs to include both, just so that they have it for reference.
Sure.
But then that way you guys don't have to go through, and then when you're looking at the SOP separately, you'll have the policy there and reference it. So I don't know if you guys want the SOPs individually, since I'll have the policy portions.
Mhm.
And then you can just approve both and get them done at the same time. Or if you want me to do completely separate, go through all the policies and then go through the SOPs.
I think we only need to see the policies.
Okay.
If you wanna do an SOP attached to whatever that is, that's fine for operations, but I think we only need to see the policy. And then you can say there will be a SOP attached to this based on whatever, we want you to see the policy.
Yeah, I like to be able to see both.
Okay.
Just like what the sheriff mentioned, you know, if there's anything in there that we see that we might wanna add,
Yeah.
that might be
So
beneficial.
sending it like this, where the policy and the SOPs are together, would be the quickest way for
So let's do
everyone
this,
to-
so send that to me and Chief Daly.
Yeah.
And then I will only attach the policies to this meeting.
That's correct.
So we will approve the policies and the SOPs, only the board, or the board will only approve, the full board will only approve the policy.
Okay.
Policy,
So I will just
correct.
send both then. For approval, the quickest way would be to approve the SOPs, because they'll include all of the policies
Yes,
in it.
yeah, so include both, I'll
But
just
then you
include the
can just
policy.
pass the policies down. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Cool, so I think that's it. For now.
Thanks, guys, for the policy work there. We'll move on to approving our minutes from January. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes from January. I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor of approving minutes from January? Aye.
Aye.
Next meeting, first Friday in March. It is ski touring weekend. If there's no issues there, we'll keep it in March.
I won't be here.
I'm fine.
Fine,
I won't be here.
we'll be here, good.
So you do the meeting without me. I might
Gary,
be able
any
to
issues?
remote in.
That's fine.
Okay, yeah, we'll keep it on the sixth then. So next meeting is March sixth, Friday at 10 a.m., same location. All right, we'll adjourn the meeting at 12:18 p.m. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.